obtaining the girdle of Hippolyte.
What is my next labor?
Eurystheus gave a moment to think inquisitively to himself.
This cannot be. Some change to the challenge is needed.
After thinking a bit longer, his reply was ready.
Your task is to now retrieve the girdle of Hippolyte.
Thinking to himself again,
Let us say I am wrong again. Then I can even give this girdle to my daughter who has demanded it.
the Amazons were a tribe of fighting women whose leader was Hippolyte. The word Amazon comes from the Greek word to mean missing a breast, and they got this name because they would remove a breast which hindered their skills at archery. The name Hippolyte means the one who unties the horses. As a group, they lived without males, discarding male babies, and raising the females to become warriors as well. Hippolyte's unique armor included a leather girdle given to her by Ares, her father. Hercules set out to the land of the Amazons by ship. Hippolyte came to greet Hercules' arrival and ask why he came. He explained the reasons for his arrival, and then she promised to give him the girdle. After he asked, she was impressed by him. Hera, not wanting Hercules to disrupt the way of life of the Amazons, came disguised as an Amazonian and spread the rumor that the ship with the men planned to abduct the queen. The Amazons wore their armor and charged on foot and horseback toward the ship. These rumors spread by Hera effectively took over their minds, and their desire to protect the queen drove them to battle with the company Hercules brought with him in the ship. The men, seeing that they were under attack, moved to meet the charge. Hippolyte made the change to no longer be in agreement with Hercules and had to show it. He needed the girdle, so they had a duel where Hercules slayed Hippolyte and took the belt. In this great conflict where the Amazons lost, the survivors were driven away. On his return, Hercules stopped at Troy to save the maiden Hesione before beginning the journey back to Tiryns and deliver the girdle. Interpretation of the myth with the symbolic element. The Amazons represent those who seek to invert their world, and their queen was the one destined to release the horses, engines, for the inversion. After the experience from the previous labor with the horses of Diomedes, destined to bring a terrible destruction, where the naive youth Abderos died because he underestimated the changes undergone by those horses' nature, Hercules now took a cautious approach. He was not naive and treated the meeting with respect for the image presented, and did not depend upon an expectation of an inner nature to unfold. With the Amazons, Hippolyte would release the horses since their way of life was not compatible with the rest of the world. A total destruction of the world would be necessary in order to rebuild it from scratch, without memory of a different circumstance existing. Hippolyte's father was Ares, who known as being the god of war, but that is an aspect of his more general nature associated with the meaning of the word for his name, Areo, which means to stop the flow, including stopping the flow of life in general, and not just on the battlefield. Such a stop would be necessary in order for a change in direction to then take place. All life depends upon a flow being water-based. This persona of Ares has multiple layers of values associated with him over the ages that has changed significantly. Although the exchange could have been made more peacefully, the war took place because Hippolyte's role would always be a shadow in her from the societal echo she reinforced. Masks worn become a living persona that can be cultivated over time, either deliberately or due to circumstance. This labor shows that the tradition of Hercules to continue would discontinue that of the Amazons. In the New Testament, Revelations makes a reference to 4 horses destined to bring destruction. This mythological motif goes back to very ancient times, where it has been used in multiple parallel settings. Extra notes. Homer, Iliad 3.185, FF, translation Latimore, Greek epic 8th century BC. King Priam of Troy tells the tale of a battle with the Amazons in his youth. I looked on the Phrygian men with their swarming horses, so many of them, the people of Otreus and godlike Mygdon, whose camp was spread at that time along the banks of the Sangarios, and I myself, a helper in war, was marshaled among them on that day when the Amazon women came, men's equals. Callimachus, hymn 3 to Artemis, 240 FF, translation Mare, Greek poet, 3rd century BC. For the Artemis, too, the Amazons, whose mind is set on war, in Ephesos beside the sea, established an image beneath an oak trunk. And Hippolyte performed a holy rite for thee, and they themselves, O Upis queen, around the image danced a war dance, first in shields and armor, and again in a circle arraying a spacious choir. Pseudo-Heginus, Fabulae 225. Those who first built temples to the gods Otrera, an Amazon, wife of Mars, Ares, first founded the temple of Diana Artemis at Ephesus. Pseudo-Apollodorus, Bibliotheca 2.98, translation Aldrich, Greek mythographer 2nd century AD. As a symbol of her preeminence among them, the Amazons, Hippolyte was possessor of the belt of Ares. Quintus Smyrnaeus, Fall of Troy, point 618 FF, translation Way, Greek epic 4th century AD. Amazons have joyed in ruthless fight, in charging steeds from the beginning. All the toil of men do they endure, and therefore evermore the spirit of the war god thrills them through. They fall not short of men in anything. Their labor-hardened frames make great their hearts for all achievement, never faint their knees nor tremble. Rumor speaks their queen to be a daughter of Ares, the mighty lord of war. Summary. It is a mistake to not respect the efforts of those who have dedicated their whole lives towards an ideal, and it is also a mistake to underestimate the degree of change that can be made from their beginnings. No one will be more motivated to turn the world upside down than those who feel naturally out of place. The conflict between the company of Hercules and the Amazons could have been avoided, but the prior investment in the societal structure kept the prior responsibilities intact.